Good evening. If you have a mobile phone, if you'd like to put it on silent, please, thank you. Right, huge welcome to Darren Nesbit with the Great Pyramid, Sacred Geometry and the Word of God, a new model of Earth. Now, Darren's last presentation that was filmed here went viral with 750,000 views to date. Right, controversial as ever, Darren presents the latest revelations that evidently indicate our Earth, at least, isn't a globe. And looking towards the Great Pyramid, he attempts to prove it's also stationary. Darren's talks have provoked some people so much that he has received death threats, even though he hasn't actually threatened anybody. Why can't people play nicely? Please welcome Darren Nesbit.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for inviting me tonight. Thanks to everybody for coming out and listening to me once again, even though you can hear my shtick on YouTube. It's true. I mean, I don't aim to be controversial. I just I prefer. My goal is just to get the truth out as I see it. If I come across new truth, I'll change my mind as well. Unlike the last video, I'm not going to go on and on about why the Earth isn't a ball. I did also that at the UFO conference presentation in Manchester back in March. And those videos are available on YouTube. I am going to talk a little bit about it. I'm also going to talk quite a lot about why the mainstream flat Earth model is also wrong. It seems to not have gone away. I did mention it last time I was here 18 months ago, but when the flat Earth comes up, everybody seems to still be on the circle model. It's used everywhere. It's almost like the programming, the conditioners again. The globe was everywhere, and now that circle model is everywhere. I'm going to talk quite a lot about the reasons why I don't think that's true, why it's not the real Earth. And then hopefully we'll get time and I'll actually present 20 minutes to half an hour at the end. And I'll show you an alternative model. It's an idea, it's a concept. And like with everything else, go research for yourself. The idea is not to listen to me. Everything I say is gospel. As it happens, I hope that a lot of what I say turns out to be true when you go and research it for yourself. And I hope that people do that, whoever they're listening to. The ultimate goal is for you to be your own researcher, for you to have that high standard. Well, is that true? Now, I was just talking to a few people then, and admittedly, when you first get into the flat Earth, you don't really research everything they're saying because it's such a mind-blowing realization. We've all been lied to all our lives that the Earth's a globe and we're in outer space, and when you realize that's not true, you go and look at NASA's stuff, which I'm not going to go through tonight because I've covered it a lot before. And you realise it's just a Hollywood stage, telescreen hoaxery. It is mind-blowing. So while your mind's open, what they seem to have done is insert this model in. And I didn't check out Southern Flights, and I didn't check out this ice wall arm and all the other myths that go along with it. But now I have, and now I'm absolutely convinced that the flat Earth is not a circle. It's not a ball. It's not a circle. I'm coming off Facebook tomorrow, so if you want to get in touch with me or if you want to follow me, that's my YouTube channel. First question is, why does it matter? A lot of truth seekers ask this question, and on one level it's true. On one level it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we're on a flat Earth or a globe or it's stationary moving it. Because the deep state is still in charge. They're still poisoning people with vaccines. They're still poisoning the air and the water. They're still fracking. They're still doing all the evil stuff. So what does it matter? Well, let me ask you a question. Do your beliefs direct your behaviours? So if you have a set philosophy, a set of philosophies or beliefs about the world, about your origins, about the origins of the world, is that going to direct your behaviours? In other words, if you believe there's a God that's going to judge, or if you believe in the brotherhood of man, that you should treat people as you expect to be treated, then you're going to behave quite differently towards your brothers and sisters. So the bottom line is yes, it matters a great deal. Because it's one of the biggest questions that everybody can ask themselves. Who am I? What are we doing here? What's the origins? Where did we come from? Why are we here? Everybody asks themselves those questions, even if they pretend not to. Those quiet moments. And for me, I've been seeking those questions all my life. I'm not saying I've got all the answers yet, but we're getting closer every day. If you still believe that, you know, NASA have been to the moon, then you still believe in Tellish green trickery. This looks quite obvious now. It's 1970 special effects, Apollo 16 taking off allegedly from the moon. It's quite clear that's special effects. It's not a real rocket taking off, but NASA will maintain that, you know, that it is. And if you still have that belief, that's going to direct your whole thinking towards what I say and what other people say about the shape of the earth and God and all the rest of it as well. So, as I was saying at the top, I mean, I think what they're doing is they've created a false dichotomy. So you can choose error A or error B and fight over it as much as you like while we carry on poisoning and, you know, enslaving everybody. And it causes confusion and it causes division. I mean, hands up if you've not been in a heated argument over the shape of the earth in the last 2 years. Not one person? No, everybody, whether you believe it's globe, whether you believe it's flat, whether you believe it's one person at the back, no? No, okay, just one person. Okay, so, you know, it does cause division no matter what. And I think, and again, myself, Laurie Ferreri, I had a debate with Darren and David Weiss a few days ago, a week ago. And for me, the whole point of the debate was to show that people can debate without shouting at each other, without getting angry, without calling each other names and insulting people. And that's more important than anything, really. So, like I say, very briefly, you know, the major things that are wrong with the ball. Number one, no measurable and detectable movement. Where even if you believe that we are rotating around at 1,038 miles an hour at the equator, you will actually have to admit that your senses don't feel it. Now, you might have reasons and excuses why that is the case, but we do not feel any motion. Now, I'm one of those people that say, I will accept what my senses have told me every single day of my life. Stand outside, we're not moving, there's no motion whatsoever. If there's a breeze, you know, then we can feel a little bit of motion. But that's probably one of the major things, and obviously if we're not in motion, it's very unlikely that we're on a ball. No curvature to be seen anywhere either. We can see, and again I've covered this a lot, we can see buildings and islands and mountains way far in the distance than we should be able to, given that the Earth is allegedly a ball with a radius of 3,959 miles. And again, going back to NASA, why have they gone to all that trouble to fake all those space missions, to do all these composite shots? I mean, this quite famous image of Earth from 1972 was supposedly taken halfway to the moon. If you know that we never went anywhere near the moon, because you can't, then obviously that's fake as well. So why, you know, if it really was a ball, you wouldn't try and fake it. Yeah, you know, you would find other ways. You wouldn't create this whole $19 billion a year sinkhole, you know, to create a fake ball. I'll go into the reasons why we're not in a circle shortly. The flat Earth has definitely been a rollout. They definitely knew it was coming. They definitely knew this realisation was coming. You know, here's a really obvious piece of evidence why. We're all aware of the Illuminati cards by Steve Jackson. I think they're from 1985 or 1995. But there's a flat Earth card. You know, this is 15 years, you know, before, I think 2014 was when flat Earth first started surfacing. It's really gone, you know, it's really exploded from 2015, and obviously now it's, you know, we've had the Flat Earth Conference and it's hitting the BBC with 3 million views and it's everywhere. They knew it was coming out. They knew that people would have the internet and would search these things out for themselves, so obviously they're going to control it and limit it to the best of their ability. Controlled opposition. If it's there in the 9/11 truth movement, it split it and divided and neutered it, it's going to be there everywhere. You know, I don't think anybody fully trusts Alex Jones or David Icke or what have you. They've got some truth, but a lot of what they say, it just doesn't seem, you know, why aren't these guys organising, you know, serious political action? You know, they just kind of seem to like being on the circuit. Flat Earth's no different. You know, the card actually says people laugh, but the flat earthers know something. So that tells me that they don't know everything. Another really important point to know, or thing to know about, is the Delfy technique. Now, I only came across this recently. It's used a lot in Agenda 21 meetings across the world, certainly across America. I would imagine it's being used in Britain as well, but everywhere they put Agenda 21, and it's to manufacture a consensus. So, get people in a room, or get locals, or what have you, and you will have at the end of the meeting, you will have the impression that you contributed towards a consensus, but in fact, it's the consensus that they wanted in the first place. Yeah, it's psychological manipulation techniques. And if you realise it can be done in a room, it can absolutely be done on the internet. It can absolutely be done. So be aware of psychological manipulation techniques that are going on. And again, I think that's what they've done with the flat earth, to manufacture a consensus around this circle model. For me, it is a case of once you go through the evidence, once the impossible's been eliminated, whatever remains, it doesn't matter how strange or improbable, but it must be the truth. It's logic and sound reasoning. But again, I mean, maybe it's kind of it's a part of truth seeking, because your mind gets blown so much, so you don't know what to trust. And I think maybe that's the idea. Maybe that's why they don't mind the truth community being a thing, because what's real and what's not. Are they telling the truth about this? Are they telling the truth about that? This is what I'm saying. Be your own ultimate authority, I suppose. You're the standard. So just a few quick questions on the ball. And here's, just generally, what they say happens on a global scale, on a planetary scale, just doesn't seem to match any real world normal physics. Yeah, anything that we're either we're used to ourselves, or that can be experimentally proven. Nothing they say on a planetary scale or on a great big ball Earth scale actually matches what we're used to. In other words, you get a gas and you put it under a bell jar, or if you've got gases under a bell jar and you take that bell jar off, it's obviously going to dissipate. It's going to do the same next to a vacuum as well. Yeah, that's what we're used to. How does it not fly off into space? The other thing is, we don't feel the motion because the atmosphere is rotating perfectly along with it. All the gases in the atmosphere are rotating perfectly along with the Earth, so you can't feel any motion. Again, gases don't behave like a solid. It's not our normal real world experience. You can see on the right here, that's 100 miles an hour. What would it be like if there was actually 1,000 mile an hour winds? Another huge one is water. Always finds a level surface. It takes the shape of the bottom, but the surface, whether it's a cup of tea or an ocean, you've got a flat surface. Now, the Earth is supposed to be 70% water, so how does all that water, all those oceans, manage to stay around the ball? If I got a ball and put some water on it, doesn't matter if I spun it or left it still, it's not going to stick to it. It doesn't matter how big the ball is. And then, why is there no difference in weight or speed between the latitudes? At the pole, the Earth is spinning 0 miles an hour. At the equator, it's spinning at 1,038 miles an hour. That should create a difference, a huge centrifugal force, and a difference actually, in weights at those places. And obviously, when you're traveling between those places, if you're a plane flying north-south, those pilots would have to make huge adjustments. And the other common question is, well, why does flying east not take, hardly any of the time as it does flying west? There doesn't seem to be any difference. And here's a real emperor's new clothes one. It's a very childlike way of looking at it. But again, the ball it must be a 3D object. It's got an up and a down and sides to it. But nobody lives on the side of it. You know what I mean? You never see elephants in Africa walking, horizontally. Kangaroos in Australia they're not underneath the ball. Everybody seems to live on top of the ball. No matter where you are, we're all on top of the ball, on top of the Earth. Everybody lives on top of the land. You know what I mean? Wherever you are, east, west, north, south. Everybody lives on top of this plane.